Well, good evening, and we're glad you're still tuned in to Seetv. We apologize for coming in a little bit, just a few minutes late into the talk show. Welcome to the big debate. I'm Heston Munanura, and we are coming live to you from our studios here in Guru Plot 59B, and this is the big debate. Well, getting into the topic tonight, on the 29th of March 2022, the DRC was admitted into the East African region. It was really glee, glamour, and rosy and glossy figures, as everyone anticipated that the entrance of DRC into the East African community would give a big boost to the East African community. But little did the East African community know the DRC had its own baggage with the instability in Eastern DRC, 100 armed groups fighting in that space, and also M23 right now resurgent in its insurgency and almost taking 3 towns to Goma. Well, this has also brought about a diplomatic ping pong between Kinshasa and Kigali, with Kinshasa recalling its ambassador from Kigali and also sending away the Rwandan ambassador out of Kinshasa. Now, the question tonight is, will the DRC all East African community other to discuss this pertinent topic?
Our panel tonight, Comrade Dr. Daniel Rugarama is the chairman of the Pan-African Movement, Uganda chapter. He's also the chairman of the Cuba-Uganda Solidarity Movement and chairman of the Yush ideology. Dr. Rugarama is a critical thinker and also a partner at Zagenda Advocates and Education Management Sociology University Laws. Honorable Uganda and a member of parliament representing the people of Gweri County and is known for his activism. He has previously served as a youth leader in Soroti and the LC3 chairperson of Gweri Sub-County before becoming a member of parliament. Edward Francis Babu is a Ugandan politician, former member of parliament, former cabinet minister, and former member of the Central Executive Committee of the NRM-SEC. Captain Babu has a wealth of political experience, having been a member of the Constituent Assembly, Minister of State for Primary Education, State Minister for Energy, and State Minister for Housing. Babu is known for speaking his mind irrespective of political affiliation. His good oratory skills, debate skills. He's also a former commercial pilot with in-depth knowledge of the aviation industry. Ladies and gentlemen, our panel tonight. Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that is our interesting panel, but just a few corrections there. Dr. Rugarama Daniel couldn't make it just because of a few encumbrances here, and also just a technical error there. It is not Dr. Patrick Wakida, but Honorable Ekudu Tom Julius, who is a member of the East African Community Affairs Committee in Parliament. He's with us here tonight. Well, turning to my panel, I'll begin with you, Honorable, as the guest to start us off on this. What is, from Parliament's view, because ever since this impasse in DRC and all the diplomatic happenings, what is your observation as the member, one of the key members on the committee?
Thank you so much, my brother. My name is Ekudo Tom Julius, Member of Parliament in the Committee of East Africa. Well, to turn to the topic of the DRC, what impact it brings. Well, for me, I can say just like DRC has been there before. And these fights have been there before. It is not today, it is not yesterday, it is not last month. DRC joined the integration when they had their issues before. If we recall M23 and the issues were even we could come to our border, that is Kasese, and we could hear about that. So if these people were to harmonize the situation, they would have handled it long time ago before even coming to this. So they are coming here to the integration, the East African community. It's not bad, it is good. Have come intentions to have what? Some country, maybe when they join the country, the integration would come in to help them security-wise. But it is still on. You find that the impact it has created to the community or to the integration, the East African community, is that sometimes for me, I went to one of the borders in the Congo, Uganda, but I found very many cars, trucks standing. And we asked, why is it that they fear of such insecurity which is there? And you will find that even trade will come to a standstill. Because if I have gone with intent to sell my commodity and there is insecurity, do you think I will cross? I will not cross. Even the Congolese themselves, that time they were running towards Uganda. Which security do you guarantee there? Because in our presence, they were taking off and the soldiers had to do a lot. I am happy our Ugandan troops are there in Congo and they are doing a lot to make sure there is peace. But still, you know, Congo has very many forests whereby you can go and hide in that forest. And for you who has just gone there, you think you will get somebody who knows the corners. You can't know that this person is hiding here, this person is where. No, you can't know. Not until you get used to the area. Yes, they have stayed there for long. And these people are still in existence. And some statements that we throw also makes some of them to say, what is this? Is this, are we going to be helped or what? But what I am saying, in the Congo, the security is there. Yes, our Ugandan security is also there. Theirs is also there. But these people are still there.
As a committee honorable, before I bring in Captain here to weigh in, what is in the kitchen? Is there any response to, for instance, the accusations that, you know, Rwanda levies against Uganda being part of and supporting the M23 rebels, you know, all that whole diplomatic fuss that is there. The committee seems to be silent on this. Is there any resolution or anything they're going to table to Parliament to speak to this?
You say, like a community, East African community, and some security agencies, in case you try to do this and somebody says, these are our brothers, what do you expect? These are Tutsis, the Tutsi. These are our brothers. We should not fight them. They are what? Yeah. Our people. Yeah. They are fighting for their survival.
Exactly. Getting to, yeah, that you're speaking about a tweet, but let me bring in Captain here. Bring us up to speed. What is your own observation in the whole fracas? Because the DRC joining the integration, everyone saw this as a blessing because we all know that it is the second largest African country on the continent. To its abundant resources, do we see it coming with its own baggage and it's becoming detrimental to the integration that even the president is always talking about?
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I think we are confusing two things. We are looking at a country called Congo, DRC, which has got a historical background, a very long historical background, very well known. And then we're talking about the East African community. So let's answer one question after the other. The dream of all Africans right from independence time was to unite Africa. And Nyerere and a few others, our Mwalimu Nyerere, wanted to have groups that start like East African community and build up to the Pan-African level of the United States of Africa. So Congo joining the East African community is very good. It increases the population from 200 to about 300 million people, which means a big market. So that, we must answer that one first, before we confuse it with what is going on. What I have seen is people tend to confuse these issues. Now, once we've got the community, remember, we are also members of the COMESA, and Congo and Tanzania are members of the SADC. We are members of the East African community. Now, what do these blocks help us? They help us in many different ways. But each one of our countries has got its internal problems. They've got conflicts. Now, the historical background of Congo, one of the biggest countries in Africa with over 100 million people, is right from the colonial time was used as the cash cow for Belgium, Netherlands, countries like France. They've been United States. People have been really becoming rich out of that country. Once you've got that problem, then you look at right from independence time, what has happened to Congo? Right from the days when they assassinated Lumumba and many other leaders in that place, they divided Congo. At one time, there was a man called Kasavubu, there's a people called Mobutu, and so on and so forth. Now, when you look at Congo, Congo has had a lot of problems. In fact, one of the biggest problems I fear, and which people don't seem to think about, if there are problems in Congo, they spill over all the countries which surround Congo. So Congolese problems have a problem with every country that surrounds, starting with Angola, Zambia, Tanzania, Sudan, Central African Republic. All these are surrounding the DRC. And each one of them have suffered one problem of the other because of the DRC. Our problem with Congo did not start today. They started during Obote I, when people were supposed to have stolen gold.
Yes, yes.
There was a war of the Eastern Congo. Eastern Congo, right from independence, has had a problem with their central government. And those groups you're talking about did not form today, they formed then. One of the most popular ones is Mai Mai.
Yes.
And a few others with leaders, different people. So, starting all the way from Bunia, all the way down to Lake Tanganyika, you've had different groups fighting. There is a group next to Burundi, a group next to Rwanda, a group next to Uganda. There is a group down there which is near Kalemi. There is a group which is also on the other side near the Kindu, and so on and so forth. So, if you want to analyze Congo and its problems, the problems have been there. Yeah. Then there is a problem of Rwanda, which they had recently with the genocide and a few people running from here and there. Now, and then to go back to the demarcation of Africa, when they were sitting in Berlin, a lot of tribes would fall in both countries. You have a tribe in Rwanda, you have a tribe in Congo, related to each other. Same with Uganda. In the north we have, in the east we have, in the west we have. So, all these play a part in the problems of Congo. People, the subterranean neo-colonialism uses these weaknesses to enhance their aim.
Actually, that was where I really wanted to probe you.
Yes.
When you were specifying the factors and the problem in Congo, I was going to say, what about that?
I was coming to that.
Neocolonialism, because even Walter Rodney, I think, wrote about it in his book, How Europe Underdeveloped.
These guys, they are subterranean. They use these groups. In fact, some of those groups are financed by the people who want the riches. In fact, there's a very nice thing which has been going on in video, where they have a road where airplanes land and collect the so-called red rock or whatever it is. Now, that's not all. The timber is being stolen. The riches of Congo are being plundered. And this John come lately, who have now also started stealing the small groups. These are just following in the footsteps of the big boys. I'm told one of the former presidents of United States owns a mine in Congo. So it's a very big problem. Now, where does how can East African community help us? By Congo joining the East African community, it's incumbent to the leaders of Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and Southern Sudan to help Congo to stabilize.
But yet, Captain...
I'm coming. Therefore, the East African community had given the president of Kenya then the chair to try and find a solution to the Congo problem. And when he was replaced, the Kenyan president asked him to continue with that job, to try and bring everybody on the table to find a solution to the Congolese problem. Now, these other guys who are fighting, I listen to people and sometimes, of course, when somebody is fighting, he says he's a freedom fighter. But the government will say he's a rebel. So it doesn't matter which side you're on, there is fighting. How do we stop this fighting? You just talked about them taking over two towns towards Goma and so on. But the Kenyan troops are already there now. They are supposed to stop this. Now, that's the community now coming in. The community has taken the Kenyan troops. Eventually might take even other troops. I'm told even the Angola troops will be brought in. Now, the whole argument here is all of us, including us who are in this, we must stop. Congo, we must find a solution to the challenges that we are faced with. How do we find the solution? We have to find the solution through our chair we've given, who is the former president of Kenya. If he's not enough, we can get former presidents like Kikwete, like Mbeki, like Obasanjo, these eminent people in Africa, to try and find a solution to the problems of Congo. Now, these problems, they are there, but I'm sure there are answers to those problems. We cannot sit down and wait for this to continue forever. That's my view.
Captain, you talk about the interventions. Before I come to Honorable, we've had the peacekeeping mission of the UN in Congo for a colossal number of years. And even analysts are beginning to say that the UN peacekeeping mission, by the way, which is the largest peacekeeping mission that has ever been deployed in the world, but they are saying those that are there to keep peace, they are now telling them to get out because they are becoming part of the problem. Then if UN can fail, what makes us so sure that the East African community will be able to solve a problem that the UN has failed for all this time?
Have you ever heard of a saying, the one who plays the piper is the one who calls the song?
Yes.
Who has been paying the United Nations to stay there? Who are these people? We just said that there's a group that benefits out of the Congo. They're the ones financing that group. The group, they have kept that group there for years. They've never allowed our groups to also go there and talk about it. I think the problem is if United Nations or European Union are going to work with those people who are exploiting Congo, the United Nations becomes utterly useless. So we need to find a new method. Now, I see the Kenyan group has gone there. I am praying that the Kenyan group can stop the fighting in Eastern Congo, demobilize them, so that we can find the solutions to the challenges which are in the Congo. And if that's not enough, we can ask Angola, we can ask Zimbabwe. I would like to say that since they have pointed into Rwanda and Uganda, they should keep out. and let the other group try and demobilize them. And when it has started working, many years ago, in this part of East Africa, when we were getting independence, we had something called the King African Rifles. They revolted, and the three countries did three different things. Uganda promoted the people
who caused the meeting.
Kenya brought in European, British army leaders. Tanzania disbanded the whole army and started a new army. If all those little things are causing us problem, we disband all of them and we create another army for Congo, which is neutral. We need to find a way. Congo being so big, can it be? Because Eastern Congo has always complained that the rest of Congo does not look at them as members of the society. Can we have a federal system of government so that Eastern Congo can be part of the Congo, but also have more powers by itself? I do not agree with those who want a secession, because there are some people who want Eastern Congo to have a secession, like Southern Sudan. I don't accept that. What I would like to see is a federal state with Eastern Congo, Kivu, if you want to call it. You can call Kivu State. You can call the other one Shaba. You can call the other one Ituri, whatever it is. And then you have a very nice federal state. Maybe we can use prime ministers or governors, it doesn't matter. But let's have a model that can bring about peace.
Well, Honorable, you come in here. The ISS, which is the Institute of Security Studies, came out with one of the solutions, which I believe the East African community is trying to, I don't know whether you're privy to it, the East African Standby Force. As a member of parliament on the committee, are you privy to the East African Standby Force and its composition? Because Felix Tshisekedi what is your take on this, and what is the contribution of the committee towards ensuring that this, maybe in one way or the other, comes to reality and we see peace in DRC?
Yeah, before I come into that question, let me add on what Captain just talked about. How do we bring peace to Congo, DRC Congo? One, the DRC Congo citizens must accept, first of all, to calm down and dialogue. Because nobody will bring peace to your home apart from you, the head of the family, first of all accepting that there is something wrong. If you don't accept that there is something wrong, even if a bishop comes to your home, he will not bring peace. So the Congolese themselves must accept that there is something wrong in our house. That is when the peace will come in. But if you don't accept that, then peace will not be there. The integration years, Uganda may come in to help Congolese. Kenya will come in. Rwanda, Tanzania will come in. But you will not come in if the owner of the home has not okayed you, has not brought the problem. First of all, Congo has to come up and say, I have a problem in my home. The heads of state, they come and sit in a round table. What shall we do? How are you going to help us? Of course, when the heads of the states come together, they will get a solution. But if you, the father, has not said that I have a problem, meaning you are enjoying your problem. Mark you, Congo is rich with the minerals. Some people in Congo, in some states, may be enjoying it. Yes. That's why you see, maybe a problem has lasted for years.
Honorable, I hope I'm getting you right. You mean the Congolese citizens are really enjoyed being killed, being
not
battered?
the Congolese,
Yes, yes.
But like you bring in other countries that may have interest in that area, and may be targeting a mineral in that area. They will enjoy it, because if they are freely accessing what they want, don't you think they will be enjoying?
Well,
Like a head of a state, if you have not gotten to know where the problem is, and somebody is penetrating you, don't you think somebody will be enjoying it? Yes, you will be enjoying it. So that's why I am saying we have to say a problem is there, and that is the Congolese, not us. For us, we shall come in as a community, East African community, to say, okay, food has been brought to here. How are we going to divide? How are we going to finish this? Is it enough? If it is not enough, okay, how are we going to add in order for everybody to get satisfied? There we shall remove a problem. But if we say, no, if you are a father and you keep quiet, you are enjoying it.
But Honorable, are you aware that in the Eastern DRC, there are a lot of tribes, especially the Banyamulenge, the Tutsis, those from Mitego Kingdom, and all these are being marginalized by the government in Kinshasa, and they are trying to fight, and there is actually the M23 are saying that we are trying to fight for our rights to be bona fide citizens of this nation, because we have been here. I mean, since time memorial, this has been our space. What do you speak? What is your take on that? Like, don't you see that these could be far from actually what the problem is? The tribal clashes could be one of the reasons as to why.
No, the tribal
apart
clashes.
From those with the interest.
Yes, the tribal classes, meaning that is a problem. They are the ones bringing a problem. If this clan clashes with the other one, meaning there is a problem. Why are they clashing? There must be a problem which needs to be solved. But you cannot solve it if you, the owners of the problem, have not accepted that there is a problem. Yes, there is tribalism there, maybe, and also sometimes you may find that the other side, other than coming together, may say, no, I don't want to be part of it. Like the integration. The integration is there, but they will not bring something that you have not presented. Yes, security-wise. Like Uganda is very strong. They would say with the other countries, how are we going to help our brothers and sisters in the Congo? But if you have not brought a problem onto a table, how do you expect me to come in? How do you expect me to come in? That's why I was telling you, some countries may be enjoying. There are differences, yes. They may be enjoying it. But now, how are we going to solve it? It is a question to be answered by the Congolese, and we'd have a discussion.
All right, Captain, even amidst all this, adding insult to injury, in one way or the other, I don't know if you have been, you know, on Twitter, and Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the first son, amidst all this says, and I can quote, as for M23, I think it is very, very dangerous for anybody to fight those brothers of ours. They are not terrorists. They are fighting for the rights of the Tutsi in DRC. This is a rebel group that is renowned, and you know, the first son is coming out to, yes, he's entitled to his opinion. Doesn't this send a cacophony in the diplomatic efforts that the ESC is trying to, you know, put forward to see that there is peace in DRC?
Well, one thing, I don't discuss social media. I do not discuss media because I have no concrete evidence. But let me say something else. We're talking about Eastern Congo. I like us to stick to facts. Rwanda, after genocide, claims that the people who committed genocide all moved to Rwanda, and they formed a rebel group to try to unseat the government in Rwanda.
FDLR, yes.
Yes. Now, that is a question we must answer. Are these people in Eastern Congo fighting Rwanda. Let's not cover that, because you keep on talking about M23, but you don't talk about that one, because that one is the problem of Rwanda. I don't think M23 is the problem of Rwanda. It might be used as a stepping stone, but the real problem of Rwanda is that there are people who committed genocide and they have moved there. Now, I've heard propaganda saying the people who committed genocide is Kagame. I've heard that argument also. Now, let us not waste time. That's why when we have a chairman like the former president of Kenya, what do we do with the Interahamwe who formed a rebel group to try and fight Rwanda? Now, that's extremely important. Now, even before we talk about M23, which is a Congolese problem, we must first find, are these Interahamwe hiding in Congo? Have they been, there's also an accusation that some of them have been integrated in the Congolese army. Is it true? Now, we must answer these questions. Now, there are people who support the M23. Obviously, they would not be there. There are people who support them. And those who support them claim that they are fighting for an agreement which was signed on March 23 with the central government. There are those who claim that the Eastern Congo have been ignored. That's not new. That has been ever since they killed Lumumba. Eastern Congo has always fought the central government, the Mai Mai group and many others. So we cannot say this is M23 is new because they are fighting for an agreement. Now, those one who are putting M23 on the tribal line might be making a mistake, because M23 might not be only tribal. It might be a group of people who claim we agreed with the central government, and they were calling it the Kivu Army, by the way. M23 is the date they signed the agreement, but there was an army there. So, whichever side you fall, there is a conflict. Now, that is a challenge to all of us. How do we find a solution to that? And that's why the Kenyan army has gone in, using the chairperson of the East African Community Force. They want a standby force to go there. Now, this small argument about Rwanda having that problem, can we solve the Interahamwe problem with Rwanda, at the same time solve the problem of M23? Because those are two different things which need an answer. Then you can go back, because Burundi also has another problem just outside their gate on the western side. Then there is another one a little bit further near the Lake Tanganyika, a place called Kalemi. There are other groups there. Then you come up, you have now ADF and a few other groups. The question is, how do we find solutions to these challenges? So for me, I will not answer social media. I never argue about social media because I don't have proof that these are not photoshops and photo video, whatever it is.
With the era of fake news. With the era of fake news.
Yeah, I prefer to talk about things that I know. And people are entitled to their opinion. If your opinion is that those are freedom fighters, and the opinion is that when they signed the March 23 agreement, they were being recognized by another. So there was a dialogue between them, and they signed an agreement. And according to them, somebody is not fulfilling the agreement. So that is something we can find a solution to. So as I end, I would like to say this. The Congolese problem, there is a challenge to the East African community because they are now members. Yes. It is a challenge to the African Union because so many African countries are surrounding it. It has got a lot of riches. It can change this whole region. The 100 million people is a big market. So the challenge is bigger. And these guys who are in Europe who are playing from underground, they are playing underground, we should know that they are there. And we should try and find a solution. We can try and find a win-win situation with them because of trade, We can find many. So, but what we need are people with goodwill who would like to see Africa have stability, East African community, Congo as a country, and Rwanda. Even Rwanda, if what they are saying is true about Interahamwe, let's find a solution to that.
Yes.
So let us not think that because there is a small war, there is bound to be a little war because people want to make statements. That M23 is making a statement. We want this. We want to go on the, in fact, for them, they're asking to go on the table. That is their request. So I don't support them. I don't support killing anybody. I don't support fighting. But I want us to find a solution to the challenges which are there.
Well, Honorable, coming in on this, with maybe I'll stick with this because there has been a precedent. You know, the first son tweeting, and there was a whole diplomatic debacle with Kenya, and then there is this. Though luckily enough, no one has responded. No one maybe profiled a profile person has come out to counteract this. What does this say about, you know, in the diplomatic means we have in trying to curtail this problem at hands? Because this could be a little bit reckless, that would actually exaggerate the whole problem. What is your take?
You see, just like a captain has just put, you are a moderator. You will have time, and you even have Mhosi's number. You will call him, he comes here, and you ask him those questions. You see, if it is true that he's the one who tweeted that, that's the answer. Because sometimes we don't want to be quoted that so and so was quoting so and so. Because of security matters, let him be what? No, but that one, because it is not me who quoted, he's the one who quoted. So is the one to answer his questions, because he knows why he quoted it in case it is him.
No, I'm saying that if this the tweet that came out that I quoted here, I mean, I'm asking in this context of, do you think that is the way to go?
No, that is not.
To make our program more interesting, let me say this. Hypothetical questions can only get hypothetical answers.
True.
I don't want us to waste. I want us to talk about things that can help us. Can help not only our country, but help the East African community, and at the same time help Congo. Now, let's be frank. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. But I hate to discuss social media because I'm sorry, people have made a lot of mistakes. People have been reported dead on social media. So I'm not going to waste my time.
Yes.
In fact, he's right. You can even call by call for the gentleman and say, did you tweet this? So that we can get the right answers.
Yes, because it had raised a lot. So many were talking about it, and I only just did maybe just an opinion about it. But let's moving on to the all critical issues. Maybe beginning with you, Captain, as well. That we reading a book by Anthony Fabian on the crisis in Congo. I don't know if you've read that book. He says that Congo, for all its years since independence, has been a ground for Cold War. And actually, he talks about a CIA operative who was in there, and this CIA, he's called Tom Russell, who comes out and says there was a myriad of intelligence operatives, different Mossad, KGB, CIA, MI6. Does that give us a run-up to the problems that we are facing today? That, you know, the minerals for all this, the Katanga secession also had that bit. We see the Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld in 1960 being killed in trying to, you know, solve the Katanga secession. By then, how do we get out of this unfair historical position of DRC, and then it coming into the EAC? How do we get out of all that mess?
Starts with our mindset. And I'm sorry, the elite, the educated African has to wake up. It's a wake-up call. Africa needs you, needs all of us, to try and make it a better place to stay. Congo is not the only place. We've had the Biafra War. Nkrumah was also virtually killed. Some of our leaders who wanted to unite Africa have gone mercilessly by these people. They've never wanted us to unite. And it is historically known. Now, some of our Africans also were blindfolded. Because when we wanted to have the Federation of East Africa, there are people who refused it. Had we had the Federation of East Africa even before independence, East Africa would be a very strong nation. The Federation of Nyasaland was scattered. The Federation of South Africa was kept because they, the Europeans, the Dutch and the English and the Germans wanted to have a nation. By the way, those were different states, but they combined them and you have the Union of South Africa, now the Republic of South Africa. But it's because those Europeans wanted it to be united because of the riches. Again, because of exploitation. Angola was very big because Portugal insisted they wanted it. So when they were dividing this in Berlin, those fellows divided them equally. But they don't only talk about Congo, it's the whole of Africa. They have been playing with us, and they will continue to play us from the slave trade to now the mineral trade to now to other things. You've heard of the bloody diamonds from Sierra Leone? There's no difference. This is the same thing. The same thing in South Africa. The same thing in the other day, one of our presidents was fighting these guys who were taking all the gold and they were not paying their dues to the government. These things are coming up. But now, a lot of you, a lot of us are more educated than what we used to be. A lot of our young people are coming up and they are beginning to realize they have to wake up to the occasion, that they have to fight for these countries. And therefore, the people who are in the power now in East Africa, all right, in the East African community, they must find a solution on the Congo, because the Congo's problem can spill over to all our neighbors and we can pay a very big price. Now, the onus is on our leaders not to make a mistake. And they should should pull out their finger and make sure that we have peace in Congo. And we want that 100 million people to join the East African community so we can have a market. And we would like those riches to be preserved for Congo and the whole of Africa. Because if Congo is rich, the rest of Africa will follow through. So as far as I'm concerned, the burden
falls heavily on our leaders?
On our leaders now, to make sure that Congo has got peace. And all those little problems which are in Eastern Congo, which have been there right from independence, we find solution to them. And they should get out of that centrifugal force of becoming rich quickly by some of our people. And those people who want to become rich are not, I don't think they're even up to 2,000. If you say there are 500,000, I'd be very surprised. Because there are very few, and they are controlling and they are destroying our countries because they want to make money. But we should build our countries and everybody can have a good life. And we can fight this very, very bad economy and make sure that our people are not poor.
Yes, Honorable, bringing you in here. Captain has really raised a very important issue, that the onus of peace in DRC, which is now our brother in the East African community, lays upon all of them. But according to an Al Jazeera report, it stated very clearly that President Paul Kagame is not very happy with not being involved in the fight against ADF, and in one way is not comfortable with President Yoweri Museveni, taking the lead. He seems to be very skeptical about it. If our leaders right now have those internecine, quiet fights, doesn't this impede the very point that Captain raises?
Okay, if it is true that Rwanda and Uganda does not have, like, our people are there, but Rwanda is not giving a hand, meaning that's why we are not having a peace. It needs when Rwanda speaks, it must speak one voice with Uganda. When Uganda speaks, it must speak one voice with Rwanda. Then DRC will be brought on board and say, what do we do? And other states, you know, like we must appreciate Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. When he brought this idea, he wanted to deepen and widen the integration. What do I mean here? To bring all these countries together. When there is peace in Tanzania, there must be peace in Congo. When there is peace in Rwanda, there must be peace in Congo and Uganda. So that's why this integration is useful. But now, if the integration is there and there is still insecurity in these countries, meaning we need to come together and see how to help our sister country. Yes. So it will even have meaning of the integration. Why Julius Nyerere brought it in. When I was still young, at primary, I used to hear about East Africa, and I knew of Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda only at that time. But now we have 7. And I remember very well, Tanzania came and helped Uganda. Yes, I remember as if it is Obote who used, and it came and helped Uganda. Uganda got some peace. Yes, I think that is what we were after. The other country comes in, like Uganda is now in DRC Congo. But there must be having a challenge. You know, for us here, our official language is English. When you reach there to DRC Congo, it is French. For you to get information from a person who does not speak English, how will you coordinate it? I remember very well when I was at school, there was somebody from Congo. When given exams in English, she will fail all. But give her in French, she will get 99. But to speak English, she could not. So our people, in case they are helping Congo, are having a problem in the communication gap. Yes, meaning we need to have people inside Congo who can speak English, who can translate to these people. If there is a problem in Uganda and Congo, then we first of all, Rwanda and Congo, then we first of all ask, what is the problem? Let's bring these people together. Let's sit. What is the problem? After finishing that, which other country has a problem with the Congo? If Uganda has a problem with the Congo, let's bring also Uganda on the board. What is the problem? Then the other countries also come together. That's what we call integration. We need to, first of all, bring these people together. We widen it and deepen the integration so that we all have peace. We should not be happy to have peace in Uganda when our neighbors are in problems. It is not good.
Yes, Captain.
Like in your home,
yes.
You are listening to an alarm. Somebody is beating the woman, and you are not there. You are listening. Just you don't go and ask what is the problem. Meaning you are not a good man. You need to go and check him. Neighbor, what is the problem? That is a good neighbor. But if you keep quiet, you are not a good neighbor. Yes. And if all fails, let us bring our leaders. I mean, you know, we have the church leaders. We have the leaders like some of us. I imagine there are leaders in Congo. Who would ask them, are you now happy? Are you enjoying the issue, the problem we are having in Congo? If you are not enjoying, what is the way forward? We first ask them, what is the way forward? So that we bring peace once for all, but not them to enjoy it. Yes.
Captain, if you read the East African, which I am very sure, the East African Treaty, Article 3, that talks about the membership of the community, paragraph 4, it states the criteria through which their countries, foreign countries, can get into the EAC. And the first, especially in the first paragraph, it says that adherence to it has to be adherent to universally acceptable principles of good governance, human rights, rule of law, and democratic principles. Now, Captain, if our leaders are not talking, that you are already saying that the onus is on them, and in between them they're not talking, can the EAC really observe and get to see that these principles are really met?
Yeah, until you solve that triangle of Rwanda, Interahamwe, and M23, it's a small triangle. Your question will not be answered, because that is something that came even after the people had joined. When they were joining, they didn't have all those problems, but the problems had inherently been underground, and they have now resurfaced. They are already members of the East African community. Now, Rwanda, Al Jazeera telling us what is happening in Rwanda, it's common knowledge. Rwanda is pursuing the Interahamwe who run to Rwanda, to Congo. And they say there's incursions which go into Rwanda. Full stop. Let's answer that question. How do we solve that problem of Interahamwe? We call them FD what?
FDLR.
FDLR. We must solve that problem, whether we like it or not, if it is there. Now, if that problem was not there, would Rwanda support M23? The answer is no. Does Rwanda actually support M23? We don't have any proof, except Congo is telling us that they do. So the next question for the chairperson of the East African community, who's creating the standby force, cannot allow Rwanda, who is pursuing Interahamwe, who supposedly is financing M23, to be part of the standing force. That is common sense. So, first of all, we've got to solve those two problems of Interahamwe and M23, and then Rwanda can be part of the standing force, because then they will not have any accusation against them. So, we have a very big problem. The problem is we must sit down and find solution to that little triangle I've just told you, and very quickly. And that's where the chairman comes in. How does he solve the problem of Interahamwe, M23, and of course eventually the Congo, to be satisfied that they are no longer having problems with those? Then you have problem with the other forces which are there. By the way, I've just read that there is a smaller group towards the western part of DRC where tribes are fighting also. So Congo has got a lot of small problems of that. The Balubas in the Kananga area also had problems. So you talked about Shaba province, they also had problems. In Kindu, they also had problems. The question is, how do we solve the problems that they are having in Congo internally by trying to help them so that our neighbors are not part of those problems? And I think this is where the challenge is for the chairperson or the people, the eminent people who are going to find solution to these problems. These are the problems. And they've got to find the answers very quickly. Because I think if those problems were, the triangle was not there, Rwanda would be part of the standing force. But there's that triangle, which is standing between Rwanda and the standing force.
Because, Captain, still with you, if you say it is, you know, a small triangle that, you know, if it is solved, we will have some peace, okay, or peace in DRC. But in one way or the other, Kagame, President Kagame and Museveni, President Museveni they seem not to be on talking terms, even when they seem to, maybe before the camera, but then behind, there are those small disagreements. They because Rwanda closed the border just a year back.
Those two have to rise above their differences. The president of Uganda and the president of Rwanda have to rise above those differences, because we need a solution, not only for our countries, but even next door. I want to tell you something. If they don't rise above those problems, some of those problems in Congo could even spill here. Now, Kenya is on the other side, all right, trying to stop the problems in Kenya. Kenya is part of the East African community. How about if these two countries, they somehow they found out they're on the other side? Now you already have a problem with Kenya, problem with Tanzania, problem with Angola. So we've got to rise above our differences and find a solution to that problem in Congo.
Thank you very much, Captain Francis Babu. Yes, we are talking geopolitics here on the big debate, and we're discussing the impasse in DRC and how it's going to impact the East African community, which has been making quite big strides. And you can follow this conversation also on our social media pages and leave a comment or two about the topic tonight. This is the big debate. It is time. About now, we take a quick commercial break. We return, the discussion continues.
Do you love me?
Very much.
Njagala ombegera omwami wange. I'll catch you one day. Pants down.
I want to spoil you. I want you to eat my money.
She believes I'm in love with her guy.
Will you go? If I had to live everywhere I'm not loved, where would I end up?
The dirty guy hides in the hospital for 40 years, but at night, he walks the streets, commits crimes, and then he comes back and pretends to be alive again.
I will break you, Spooky. Do not answer any question about Roho kwa Roho. He's your brain!
Now showing on Seetv. Don't blink.
Hits it in the air. Will that be set? He's done it! What a magnificent performance!
Recharge your day with Sting. Extreme energy, refreshing taste, available countrywide. Sting, life switched on, from the makers of Pepsi.
Welcome back from that quick break. You're watching The Big Debate. I'm Heston Munenra, and we are discussing the geopolitics within the East African region, looking at, the DRC crisis and its impact on the integration efforts made by the East African community. Well, in the studio tonight, I'm having Captain Francis Babu, seasoned politician, and also I'm having Member of Parliament, Honorable Tom Ekudu Julius, who's also a member of the East African Community Affairs in Parliament, and we have been digesting these issues and, you know, so many solutions coming up on the debate. Well, turning back to my panel tonight, I'll begin with Honorable. What is the regional blocs, and their main aim is, one, trying to strengthen and widen the economic sphere and development of most of the individual member states. So far, how are we achieving that as in the East African community, in your own observation?
How we are achieving it?
Yeah, are we achieving it?
Well, with the other countries, like Congo has just joined us this year, and you may not achieve it just very fast like that. But other countries, like when you talk about Tanzania, Tanzania is peaceful, even its economy, compared to Congo. You can't compare Tanzanian economy to Congo. You can't compare Kenyan economy to Congo. No, those countries are far. Much as Congo is rich, but their economy is not stable because of the fights. Because how do you take trucks to Congo with the fuel, and it stands there for like 1 month or 2 weeks without reaching the destination? How do you expect that the economy of that country to be more powerful than Uganda? No. And also the security. You have to, as a father, make sure your security. If your security is not good, even your position as a president is at stake. Yes, this one you have to know that, because anything can happen. And if you are not stable, you know the problem we have with the Congo. There are very many tribes. If you are to know the number of the tribes that they have in Congo, is about 200 tribes. But when you check Uganda, we have like 56. Now the local language spoken in the Congo is more than 700 local languages. So that alone can even bring a problem, because these ones will say, for us we are speaking the Twa. The other ones are saying, for us we are speaking the Congo, we are speaking the French, they were speaking the Kiswahili. All those are there. So for you to bring a peace, you have to first of all bring even these people in. So for us as a community, yes, we cannot go and say, let us join these tribes. No, that one is not there. But we as a community, East Africa community, we can say, somebody has brought this problem. How are we going to help? As a community, East Africa community, how are we going to help? And the community has to sit and agree. That's why we are saying, Mwalimu Nyerere said, deepening, widening and deepening the integration. You first of all bring everybody on the board, discuss it, and get a way forward.
Yes, Captain, now when we went into the break, you were intimating to us about actually what the World Bank and the IMF have talked about, a looming recession. And in a book by Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, which is called, he told, What is Africa's Problem? He talked about also one of the solutions to African problems is integration. With this recession and the DRC impending crisis, we are receiving an influx of refugees. Already in Uganda, we are having Ebola. How do we get out of this? The recession is on us. We are having refugees that, in fact, one of the refugee transition camps has been closed, Nyakabande camp. How if we Uganda, we as Uganda, we are having our own, problems, and we are adding on this, and then the extraneous problem of the recession, how are we getting out of this rabbit hole?
You just actually answered the question I told you earlier on, that the problems in Congo will spill over. You are now talking about refugees spilling over. That is just minute. It can be bigger than that. In fact, you're talking about Ebola. I don't know whether the spillover is not creating the Ebola. I don't know. I don't know whether the spillover is the one creating all these problems. Let me tell you, we've got to find a solution to Eastern Congo. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to use M23 and these groups. The whole of Eastern Congo, right from independence up to now, we need to find a solution. And that solution has to come quickly. Because with the world economy going into a spiral, diving into recession and eventually depression, we need to look at our Africa quickly so that we can build our nations. Luckily for Uganda and a few African countries, we might have food. But if we continue with the spillover, we might not have food. So we need to wake up. And let me tell you, poverty is another source of a problem that can create even bigger problem. These places where they are fighting, there is poverty.
Sure.
Now, you are talking, when you talk about people like Nkrumah, all our leaders, people like Nyerere, Sekou Toure, many other leaders in Africa who wanted a United States of Africa, who wanted to have the East African community as the bloc, as a beginning. That's what Nyerere wanted, and that's what these people have been doing. We've now managed to get more than 3 countries. We have Rwanda, Burundi, Southern Sudan, now Congo. I hear Mogadishu wants to join. And every time there is a border with the other country can also join, which means it can be like a spiral, and the whole of Africa can join. Now, at the end of the day, this Eastern Congo, I'm sorry, I like to use the word Eastern Congo because that's where the problem has been all along, right? Can we find a solution to that? Because these problems have been moving from one another, changing color, but same thing, Eastern Congo. The people were fighting. Why people said it was because of Lumumba. No, it was because of marginalization. We've got to have equity in Africa. We've got to respect each other. And we can have very strong countries in diversity. You don't have to even to talk about those. If those tribes were, as communities found themselves, they're part of the whole thing, they will be with you. The communities have to realize that they are part of a bigger thing. And that can be done. So I do not agree with these weaknesses of some poverty of the mind because of some small amount of money. We've got to kill each other. No, time has come to get this country, Eastern Congo, stabilized. If my difference between you and me, let's forget about the difference. Let's get Eastern Congo stabilized, and we can talk about our differences later.
The crux of the solution, could it be diplomatic or military in nature? Because the problems in Eastern Congo seem to be a moribund of so many.
Demobilizing, you need military. Demobilizing, you need military. The rest is diplomatic. But to demobilize these groups that are all over the place, we need military. But then you also need not to fight them, but to stop them. I think we better get 2 words. We're not going out there to fight. We would like groups to go there and stop them from fighting and say, what's your problem? M23, you want us to review the agreement? That's a diplomatic group that will review it. That's a group that will do this. That's a group that, I think this is what we're talking about.
And what about ADF? Because the UPDF is there to try and neutralize the ADF that, intelligence saying the masterminds of the bombs that we had. So UPDF going there, isn't it more of to annihilate the ADF
thing does not fall into those groups of Eastern Congo. ADF was foreign, and it went and developed itself in the Congo because of weaknesses within the system. They are not fighting for the secession of Eastern Congo. They are fighting our countries out, basing themselves there and fighting outside that country. In other words, they are a force fighting another country using the grounds of that country. So there's slight difference. You need also to find out the solution for that. Do we, apart from the military which is there, do we need a diplomatic approach? Because even with the Kony we tried, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So we should try and find all methods, multi-pronged methods, to try and stop all this fighting.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Let me bring an example of myself. I was Arrow boy. When Kony came all the way from that side up to Teso, we asked ourselves, no, these people should not chase us like goats. We have to show them that we are the indigenous people of this area. I was a speaker at the LOC3 council. Remember, I was giving you my background. I was a LOC3 youth councillor for 2 terms, and then a LOC3 chairperson for 2 terms. There, when I was a speaker, of course, when you can't get a speakership when you are not in the council. 2003, when Kony came, we asked ourselves, where are we going to go? Let us remain here. Let us ask government to give us guns. And we were given guns. From that time, have you heard Kony anywhere? No. We said, no, this is our country. We need to protect our people. And I was personally in a camp. But I said, no, let us handle guns. And I was part of those who mobilized. Museo Nasan Okurud was one of the commanders. We asked him, no, Musei, let us mobilize. Mokula, let us mobilize. Echweru, let us mobilize. And we did that. Even in Congo, the indigenous Congos must come up and say no to insecurity in Congo. They should not look at Uganda to go and bail them out. Rwanda to go and bail them out. No. Uganda will come in. Rwanda will come in. Other countries will come in. When you, the indigenous Congolese, have also tried.
Captain, Honorable raises a very pertinent point about the internal empowerment of the Congolese to also be part of the solution, not to look elsewhere, not to have so much of the high hopes in, yes, they should be, but don't you think it is high time that the Congolese also became part of the solution? Because
they did. Actually, the Congolese, with the help of some people, managed to remove Mobutu. All right? It means the Congolese themselves, if they are given the opportunity, they can do that. And in fact, that's why I'm saying, in some areas they have fought these rebels. In some areas. What the local communities need is to understand why they are doing it. In some areas, these rebels work with the local communities. So it is up to the people to mobilize. You need to mobilize these
Wake
people.
up. Yes.
You see? And to mobilize them, you need to first understand. For example, even ADF. We've got to find out a little bit more about ADF. Why is it that ADF is being financed through a system? Why that system? We need to go to the bottom of it. We can't just leave it to go. Whilst there's a military incursion to try and stop them, we should also go to the cause and find out exactly where the problem is. I don't think we should stop only there, fighting and getting and fighting with them, but we should find where is the whole cause coming from. It's same thing with Al-Shabaab. Why Al-Shabaab? Why are these things there? And I think time has come for us to do a little bit more than just fighting.
Yes, another country that was, although with its peculiarities, is Southern Sudan, that joined also with its own mess. You know, the warlordism in Southern Sudan was way, but the fact that it has been moderately pacified and it is slowly building the state, building its state to become a strong nation within the East African. What did the East African community do different in Southern Sudan that it can't do now in DRC? Captain, maybe I'll bring Honorable to you.
Yeah, the only thing is that they had freedom fighters there. Freedom fighters who were seasoned. And what the people who wanted their riches did was to divide the freedom fighters. So what you're having in Southern Sudan is the same freedom fighters who fought for the cause being divided by the people who want their riches. And then there is this argument of religion, where religion wants to dominate and so on and so forth, games. But all those is because of the rich. Southern Sudan is a very rich country, starting with oil and many other things. So there are people who want to divide it also, divide and rule. Now, the Southern Sudanese who fought must stop for a moment, because they have now been divided on communities. Can they get those communities to join? And I think that's where the answer is. The military can work for some time, but sometimes they've got to become one. So no matter what they do.
So meaning that in the Congo, the difference is there are so many scattered.
Yes.
You know, but Honorable, in one, I would like you to weigh in on this as well. What can the East African community do differently this time to see that they find a lasting solution? As a member of the East African Committee, I am very confident that you could be on this committee discussing these issues, because as a member of Parliament, this our neighbors concern us too. What is Parliament doing in trying to find a resolution to this, and what is its response?
First of all, the member states, head of states need to come together, and this is what we have been discussing even in the community. Even the other time when we were having the East African Court of Justice, it was a discussion, and we said, how can we bring this together, and we bring harmony into Congo. But still, we said and we agreed that member states, heads of member states first of all, because that is at a higher level. Then they will now descend down and say, what do we do after agreement? What do we do as member states? We are seeing our brother here being squeezed down. How are we going to handle it? After they have agreed at that level, it then comes down. The ministerial positions, like ministers of defense, how are we going to handle? Because they have to play technical advice. They have to bring technical advice. Like for me, you can't compare me, a civilian, to a military person. A military person is so technical in that area. These other leaders must be also brought on board. Of course, it is going to be a process. It is not going to be handled in one day, but it is going to be a gradual process until we reach there to that agreement. That is the community now. But now, the community cannot also do it when the issue in Congo has not been brought to them. Because you cannot just go and look for cases in countries. It has to be brought to the board, and we have a discussion. Then we agree what is your contribution as a country? What is your contribution as a country? But also, we have to be very careful as a community, because sometimes other countries will also come in, because they have seen Uganda has a potential, Kenya has a potential. So because they are strong, let us also come in. So that we shall throw our issue to them. They come and support us. Yes, like Congo has been in problems for years. Maybe it has come to the community because they are seeing strong and the objectives of the East Africa community.
Yes, now we are heading towards the end of the show, but I would like to trigger a question, a scholarly question to Captain. After reading that book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney, and talking about, okay, generally he was talking about, if you've read it, how Africa was in one way or the other plundered way earlier, even when we didn't know these formalities of regional integration. How do we break free as a continent from that very plague that seems to be coming up in every discussion? And again, in your parting shot, just educate our viewers as well. Do we, from the Pan-African view, right about now, do we still have the potential to break free from the metropoles? If even at this moment, the recession that we are facing partly is because the metropoles had a cold and we are sneezing.
There's a gentleman who wrote something very interesting about Africans and our relationship with our former colonial masters and the neo-colonialism and imperialism. It's very, very interesting. But what is interesting, he quotes about 4 people. He quotes the Indian, quotes the Korean, quotes the Chinese, and then recently the Arabs. How they dealt with the colonial masters and the colonizers. The Indians understudied the colonial master. And the colonial master continued going with him wherever he went. They went with him to Fiji, they went with him to Singapore, they went with him to Britain. Today the Prime Minister of Britain is an Indian. So they have understood how to deal with that group. The Chinese learned a long time ago how to deal with them with the Japanese. In the 1950s, there was a Marshall Plan after they bombed Japan to give them money. And there was this group that said Japanese should not build cars. But the Japanese said, no, please let us try. They tried. Today, Japan is probably one of the biggest auto industry in the world. The Chinese kept on following. And because of their market being very big, they managed to convince these people to take their factories there and make these equipments there, to an extent that the Chinese copied everything they did. To an extent, there's a story about Audi starting a factory in China, and then about 20 miles away, the Chinese started a factory producing duplicate cars. Now, they learned that when oil was found in Saudi Arabia, they used to buy a barrel for $3, and the Americans will make a bomb out of it. The Seven Sisters. $5, went to $10, went to $15, and now today we are talking about $100 a barrel. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Now, what the Arabs have done, they have listened and followed these guys, and they have used their own methods to start refinery factories and pipelines and whatnot, and they have built their countries. Today, all of you are going to Dubai. You are going to all these places because these guys have learned how to get back. Let those guys take whatever they take, but build your own country. In other words, you don't break the relationship. You find a way how to deal with them. So we must learn as Africans how to work with our partners. In fact, I had somebody saying, no, if you people don't want to work with us, we shall work with China. No, I would not do that. I would learn how to work with them. I would also work with the Chinese, Like what the man did, Lee Kuan Yew, in Singapore, when he wrote the book from the
third world to first world.
Yes. He learned how to deal with them. To an extent that Singapore, which is an island, which is a rock, has a GDP more than an oil-producing country. Now, what is it that those guys did to make their countries better off? We must also learn as Africans to deal with these people, not disconnect, but to connect with them and find a way to work with them so that we fall in that global world which they call globalization.
But Captain, maybe educate me on this. But some of these countries became rich by plundering other countries.
No, not really.
I mean,
the big countries, yes, but the new countries were
the Asian tigers, no.
The Asian tigers learned how to deal with these guys. Yes. No, you cannot be a plunderer. Two thieves cannot work together. You've got to learn to play games with them, to be able to work with them, so that you for example, if they take oil, they first took nearly 100% from the Arabs. It went to 60%. It went to 50%. Now it is at 30%. So they use the country to develop their own countries. Now, if you look at Venezuela, Venezuela has not developed as Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. Nigeria has got oil, has not developed as well as the Gulf. So we've got to learn. In fact, Professor Lumumba, in one of his nice speeches, he said, you see, the Africans have a tendency, when they are sick, they go to they go to London, they go to Paris, then even recently they go to India. But in most recent time, they are now going to Dubai, because the Dubai people have now learned how to have medical tourism. We have the best doctors here. Nobody has thought about medical tourism. So, in essence, we must change our mindset, how to work with these people. We must respect each other. There are people in here who can find solutions to our problem. I'm not saying it is easy. Please don't get me wrong. We must learn. We must learn the hard way, and we must be able to tighten our belts so that we can build our countries. Nobody's going to build it for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Yes. Honorable, your concluding remarks as we end the show. What is your takeaway from this discussion in terms of how the DRC crisis and the EAC, how we can solve and get forward, and we move, tuko pamoja, we move forward?
What I can only say is that when I get in a forum like that is discussing about about peace or security, I will bring this issue in so that it can be discussed and a way forward can be forged. But like I've told you, we cannot forge a way forward when they have not accepted. They need to first of all accept that there is a problem, and they need to know what is the cause of the problem. How did it begin? And when did it begin? By who? If those people have died, who took over? Because like if I am fighting for government, there is somebody following me. There is a chain behind. Not so. In case I die, somebody takes over. How did it begin? We need to follow the history of that event, so that we get a way forward. Like if it is through these tribes, we need to know what really, and which one is that one that is spearheading this. Then we make sure that tribe, however big it is, needs to be talked to. Yes, it needs to be talked to, because there is no problem that cannot be solved. Yes, it is us who create the problem, and we need to have a solution to it. Yes, there must be somebody who started it. We need to get a solution now.
Well, thank you so much, Captain Francis Babu, for being with us tonight, and thank you so much, Honorable Julius Ekudu, your first time on Seetv discussing this pertinent topic. Well, that has been the big debate. You can continue the conversation on our social media platforms, and been Heston Munanra, seeing you next week. Bye-bye and good night.